All right, sixth graders. Lesson 11.7 is a problem-solving lesson. And it's a lesson that is going to help you to figure out what is an equation. We've talked about an equation being two sides that are what? Equal, right. Two sides of the equal sign. Two amounts or two expressions that are equal. Well, when you have a real world situation and you have to try to figure out what is equal to what. Okay? What two things are equal? What is equal to what? That's setting up an equation. And in an equation, there's always an unknown value. Okay? We're going to look at a couple of ways to set up equations. A couple of ways to look at equations and model equations. For example, in your assignment, there was this question. The lacrosse team played 35 games. They won 3 more games than 3 times the number of games that they lost. Okay? Now, that language is a little confusing, but we recognize some phrases that we can work with. 3 more than means we're going to add 3 at the, what? At the end, okay? We're going to add 3 to the end of 3 times the number of games. So, 3 times the number gives us the expression what?
More than, no.
3n. 3 times the number. 3n. 3 times n, right? Are you with me so far?
Yes.
So, in this, we have 2 expressions. We have 3n, and we have 3 more than that. And that's the number of games that were won or lost. That's the number of games that were won. It says they won 3 more games than 3 times the number that they lost. So these two are not equal. Won and lost are not equal. But we know that the number of games that were won plus the number of games that were lost equals the total number of games. Okay? In a question like this, when you draw one side or draw this as like a chart, see how I have it set up kind of like as a chart? And you know that the total will equal the wins plus the losses. And then if you can try to figure out the expression for the number of wins and losses, because we know what the total is, then you can find an equation. Okay? Now, on your assignment, it said to make some predictions. What does that help you do? What does that mean? To predict. What's the unknown amount? How many wins and how many losses? But in a more basic level, the number of games lost. That's our variable. If we know what that is, then we can figure out how many games were won, right? So, when you're making a prediction, it's guessing an amount and then checking your guess. Guess and check method, right? So, that's one strategy that I want you to write down. Insert a slide after this. Okay? Strategies. Write this down in your notes. After you have the 2 sides, after you kind of know what one side, what equals what, then you can use guess and check. Okay, so in this example, if we have 3n plus 3 for the wins plus the losses equals 35. What number may fit in for n to give us 35? Not the right answer, but how about 5? Let's start with a 5 is an easy one to work with. So we're starting with something, or maybe 10. How about 10? 10 is an easy one to work with. If the number of losses was 10, then 3 times 10 plus 3 is 30, 10, and that's
33.
43, right? That's too many.
So it's 5.
Okay, so it's got to be less than 10. 5?
No,
Guess 8?
wow.
Let's guess 8.
8.
Good, I'm glad someone did their
Yes.
homework. 3 times 8 plus 3. Oops, I'm sorry, 3 times 8. I did that wrong. 3 times 8 plus 3. So, 24 plus 3
27 plus
27
35.
plus 8, 35. Right? So, the guess and check method works well. Once you figure out the two sides, that's what we had to do first, right? Now, let's try another method. Yes?
What's the method called when you just actually do it?
Well,
Like solve it.
Salt.
Algebra?
just
Algebra?
if you actually do it, let's.
Yeah.
You mean solve the equation?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's solve the equation. 35 equals 3n plus 3 plus n, right? How many n's are there?
2.
No,
There's 4.
3 n's. Yep, so n, n, and n is 4 n's.
So you 4n plus 3.
So 4n plus 3 equals 35, right? Then, you haven't gotten to this point in algebra yet, but if we take away 3 off of each side, so we subtract 3, or which is adding the negative, we've done that, then we still have 32
21.
equals
29.
0 and 4 n's. Right? So, this is what we're going to talk about today. In order to solve this, you divide them by 4,
8.
and that equals
8.
8. So this is computation. This is using algebra skills to solve it. Okay? There's another method, though, that I want you to use. And that is to model it. And this is a great way to help you. If we know that n the number of games won is n is 3 n's plus 3, right? And the number of games lost is also n. And then this all equals 35, right? Now, without knowing much about algebra, you can do this. Because then you can see, oh, there are 4 n's here. Right? And there's 3, so if we take away 3, then that leaves 32. Now, this is something that you could have put in that space where it says to draw a model, right? If 4 ends, if we got rid of this, we have 32 left. And then, if there are 4 of them, we know we have to divide by 4.
Equals 8.
Because these are all the same, right? And that equals 8. Okay. So by modeling, you can see how much you have and what you can do to get you to the answer. So draw this, put this in your notes, because this is going to also be part of your grade when I grade your notes. Draw this model. Okay? So the 3 methods that we looked at. Well, it's not really 3. We always have to start by figuring out what equals what. Okay? And then from there you can use guess and check. You could use computation, or you could use a model to help you figure out the value of the unknown.